Good morning and welcome to New Garden Friends Meeting live worship. So here at New Garden Friends Meeting, center of our worship life together is welcome. And part of what is so important in our community is that we welcome all people who come and worship with us. So this morning, I want to extend that welcome to all of you. You are welcome in this space. Our love surrounds and uplifts you. No matter who you are, no matter your age or your race, no matter your politics, no matter whether you're a Duke or a Carolina fan, no matter your sexual orientation or your gender identity, you are surrounded and uplifted by the love of New Garden Friends Meeting. Thank you for joining us this morning for our digital worship. So I do have several announcements to make this morning. My first announcement is that the meeting house here at New Garden Friends Meeting is closed. We've closed the meeting house during the week and it will remain closed until the working group, the COVID-19 working group here at New Garden Friends Meeting determines that it's safe again for groups to start meeting. So the meeting house is closed. Myself and Sharon, our office manager, will be coming in periodically into the meeting office and checking messages on the answering machine. So you can still call the office and leave a message. We'll still check messages. Sharon will still be able to respond to those things periodically, but the building will be locked and closed until we can determine that it's safe for us to all gather together again. My second announcement is that we do have some, Karen Heller, our wonderful religious education coordinator, does have some religious education things that she is working on, some ways that people can continue to receive RE resources and participate in our religious education life here at New Garden Friends Meeting digitally during this time of social distancing. And I would just ask that you stay tuned to hear from Karen about those opportunities. She's working on a couple of different ways that we can continue to stay connected. So stay tuned, that's in the works. And Karen will be reaching out to you shortly about that. My final announcement is about announcements. So for the time being, because we're doing this live digital worship, for the time being, you can email announcements to me, and I will make the announcements as part of our live worship. So if there is something that you would like the New Garden Friends Meeting community to know about, you can send those email announcements to me. If I receive them by Saturday, I can make the announcements as part of our digital worship on Sunday morning. Friends, I have 2 readings to share with you this morning. Our first reading is from Romans chapter 8, verses 35 through 38. And I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version, although I have altered the language slightly to ungender God. What then are we to say about these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? God, who did not withhold God's own child, but gave him up for all of us, will God not also give us everything else? Who will bring any charge against God's elect? It is God who justifies. Who is to condemn? It is Christ Jesus who died, yes, and who was raised, who is on the right hand of God, who indeed intercedes for us. Who will separate us from the love of God? Will hardship or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for your sake we are being killed all day long. We are counted as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through God who loves us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all of creation can separate us from the love of God. Our second reading is from the Journal of George Fox. I'm reading from chapter 1 from the Journal of George Fox. I saw also that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love, which flowed over the ocean of darkness. In that also I saw the infinite love of God, and I had great openings. I saw into that which was without end, things which cannot be uttered, and of the greatness and infinitude of the love of God, which cannot be expressed by words. For I had been brought through the very ocean of darkness and death, and through and over the power of evil, by the eternal, glorious power of Christ. Even through the darkness was I brought, which covered over all the world, which chained down all and shut up all in death. The same eternal power of God, which brought me through these things, was that which afterward shook all the nations, the priests, the professors, and all the people. Here with me this morning is Mark Alley, our music director here at New Garden Friends Meeting, and he is going to be leading us in song this morning. We selected a hymn that we hope will be familiar to many of you, and so we hope that you will sing along from home with Mark.
Good morning. Our hymn today is How Can I Keep From Singing? If you happen to have a hymnal with you at home, I will be doing verses 1, 2, and 4. If you don't, just sing along with what you know. And if you don't know any of the words, just hum or listen. My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the sweet, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though my joys and comforts die, my Savior still is living. What though the shadows gather round, a new song Christ is giving. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love commands both heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the clouds grow thin. I see their blue above it, and day by day this pathway smooths, since first I learned to love it. The peace of Christ makes fresh my heart, a fountain ever springing. All things are mine since I am Christ's. How can I keep from singing?
Thank you so much, Mark. There is nothing more beautiful than when we can sing together, even when we are not able to be together in person. Friends, I wanted to let you know how our worship is going to proceed this morning. I have prepared a message for all of us, and then after that, I'm going to cut the live feed, and we're going to have time for all of us to center together in silence. And I do have some queries that I will use to lead into our silence time together, some questions that we can hold together through our silence. And after I cut the live feed, I will go ahead and post those queries into the comment section for this video. So if you would like to reread the queries before you center into your silence, they'll be there in the comments section. Honestly, I have spent a disproportionate amount of time in 2020 wondering if any of this is even real. It feels like just when things could not be getting any grimmer, they do. I know that I find the news scary right now, and I'm sure that many of you do as well. I've been lying awake at night over the last several weeks, and I have been thinking of all of the wonderful, kind, smart, funny, wise, beautiful people I love who are over 60, or who, for other reasons, are in real danger because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I don't know about all of you, but I have felt real fear and worry sit on my chest and sit heavily on my shoulders as I have traveled through these last few days. Although it is the right thing for us to do, for us to stay at home and to stay away from one another and to stay out of public places and away from group gatherings. Although this is essential right now for the well-being of everyone, this practice comes with its own painful consequences. We can feel isolated and lonely right now. We're dealing with a global crisis, and we're doing so while we're cut off from our communities, from traditional places that we may find support and comfort. And I know that this is hard for many of you, and it's hard for me as well. While I was sitting in prayer, preparing for this message to all of you today, I lifted up in my prayer all of you and the situation that we find ourselves in. And my heart kept returning again and again to one of the most powerful scripture passages about connection, about our connection with one another and our connection to God. This passage from Romans that I shared with all of you earlier this morning. I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor things to come, nor height nor depth nor anything else in all of creation will separate us from the love of God. We are physically separated from one another right now. I am separated from my family, the family that lives in New York, and from family that lives in Pennsylvania. I'm separated from my friends who I can't meet for coffee or have over for dinner. and I'm separated from my beloved friends who live at friends' homes, and from all of you, my beloved community here at New Garden Friends Meeting. But the good news that is ringing in this passage in Romans is that we can never be separated from God. We Quakers hold as true that there is a light that lives within us, that light of love, that inner Christ that is within us all. But this light does not just live within our chest. This light also stretches between us. It is the bonds that knit us together as a community, that weave us together into one family, one body. Social distancing cannot distance us from God, and it cannot distance us from one another and from the love that we share as a community. Our lights are undimmed by the present circumstance, and the light that we carry together as a community is sustained, even when we cannot be together in person. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8 reminds us that love never ends, that love never ends. And it is the same truth that we hear ringing in the words from George Fox's journal that I shared with you earlier this morning. I saw also that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love which flowed over the ocean of darkness. And in that I saw the infinite love of God. Early Quakers believed in the living presence, the living Christ that was with us and within us at all times. And this belief sustained them through some very difficult times and through some painful circumstances. Our Quaker forebears are a good model for us in these uncertain times. When early Quakers were imprisoned during the early part of the Quaker movement, they stayed connected with one another by writing letters. Friends visited those who had been imprisoned, and groups of Quakers communicated with each other through intermeeting visitation and also through epistles or open letters. When their meeting houses were demolished or when friends experienced financial ruin, the community would respond with tenacious, persistent love, with support, with gathering together and supporting one another. They continued to gather for worship even in the ruins of their meeting houses. They continued to worship even when they were being arrested in great numbers. They took care of each other by sharing food and money and other resources with those who needed it. They continued to love even under difficult circumstances. They continued to believe even under difficult circumstances. They continued to do what they knew to be right and true even under difficult circumstances. Now, we cannot gather together right now. We may not be able to visit each other in person as early friends did, but we can find ways, creative ways, to stay connected. Like our Quaker forebears, we can be flexible and innovative in how we reach out and care for one another. We can write letters to one another as early friends did. Even sending a few cards a week to another new gardener could make a difference in their lives and could make a difference in our life. We can communicate by phone or email or text message or Facebook or Snapchat or carrier pigeon or Marco Polo app or in whatever way you would like to use to communicate. We can make an effort to call and email a few new gardeners each day. And by doing so, we can highlight those bonds of love that continue to tie us together as a community. Now is also the time to reach out in love beyond our community here at New Garden Friends Meeting. Participate in a live stream dance party, or join the author and artist Mo Williams each day at 12 for a doodle session online. Go outside and write messages of encouragement in chalk on your driveways. Put a sign of encouragement up on your lawn. If you are someone who knows how to order groceries online and have them delivered to your home, call someone else who may not know how to do that and teach them how they can order groceries and have them delivered. Now is the time to call your neighbors, even if you do not know them well, and see if they need extra supplies or if they just want to talk. Maybe organize a neighborhood sing-along where you all gather together, staying 6 feet or more apart, and join together in song. Now is the time for us to be creative in how we care and love one another, to be creative in how we are good neighbors to each other. Now is our chance to show the depth of our commitment to goodness and mercy and justice, to live out our Quaker testimonies in our life by being good neighbors to all those around us. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not isolation, not social disruption, not illness. Nothing in all of creation can separate us from love. Not the love of God, and not the love of our community. I know that my love and care for all of you is undiminished. I am here to care for you and love you in any way that I can. If you would like to talk to somebody and just are seeking someone to talk to, I'm here for you. If you would like for me to pray for you, I am here for you. If you need somebody to swap Netflix recommendations with, I am here for you. You can email or you can call, and I will find a time when we can connect. I continue to be available to you in any way that I can be. Friends, we are going to transition into our time of waiting worship. But I have several queries that I would like to share with you before we move into our time of silent worship. After I cut the live feed, I would encourage you to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes in centered silent worship. But I know it can be hard to hold that attentive silence in your own home. There are always dishes that are asking to be washed, or dust bunnies that you discover that need to be swept up, or pets that require your attention. Some of you are worshiping at home with children, and wiggly children may have trouble sitting for 20 or 30 minutes of silence. So if you can do 5 minutes of silence, that's beautiful. If you can do 10 minutes of silence, that's beautiful. Whatever time you can set aside to be attentive to that living presence is just beautiful. That living presence that is with us at all times, not just when we are together in our meeting house, but also when we are in our living rooms at home. Friends, let us hold together these queries, these questions in our silent time. In these uncertain and frightening times, what unexpected blessings have been in your life? How can you imagine reaching out in love to those who are around you? What was one time this past week when you felt connected to someone in your community? How can you foster this connection in the future? What spiritual practices could you imagine during this time of solitude? What spiritual practices are calling to your heart? How do you make time to feel the love of God surround and uplift you in these times of fear and anxiety? Friends, once I close the live feed, I will post the questions, the queries again to the comments section of this video. Thank you for worshiping with us this morning. Let us settle together into our silent, waiting worship.